Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Gettysburg Bullets Poll for another edition of Facebook Live. We're glad you can join us this afternoon. My name is Braden Snyder, and today we're joined by the team captains of the Gettysburg College men's swimming team. The Bullets are coming off another strong season, finishing as the runner-up at the Centennial Conference Championships after logging a perfect 9-0 dual meet record. This year's squad brings back 13 swimmers from last year's team, including 6 All-Centennial Conference performers and 2 All-Americans. The Bullets open the season tomorrow when they host Washington College in a Centennial Conference dual meet. And so now we'll introduce our guests on the broadcast. Seated to your far right, my far left, is Ian Schrock. He's a senior health sciences major and studio art minor from State College, Pennsylvania. He's a backstroke and butterfly specialist and ranks among the top 10 in school history in 2 events, and is 3rd all-time in the 200 fly. He has finished as high as 8th individually at the Centennial Conference Championships. Seated in the middle of your screen is Ty Dougherty. He is a senior organization and management studies major and business minor from West Chester, Pennsylvania. He is a sprint, freestyle, and breaststroke specialist. Has racked up 8 All-America honors during his time at Gettysburg. He holds the school record in 5 events, including the 100 breaststroke, as well as 4 different relays. He also holds the Centennial Conference record in the same 4 relays and was the most outstanding performer at the 2016 Centennial Conference Championships. So I'd like to welcome our guests, welcome Ian and welcome Ty. I've had over a month now with the team since practice has started, so a lot of time to be with the team. So I guess I'll start with you, Ian. Can you just talk about your impressions so far from what you've seen?
I'm honestly very impressed with the freshmen. I'm very impressed with a lot of the younger guys that have come back. It's pretty clear that a lot of them have been working really hard, staying in the weight room, trying to stay in the pool over the summer. And I also think that this preseason is very strong, even stronger than some of the ones in the past, because I think Coach is working us a lot harder this year, because we all know that nothing comes to us as easily as it might have in the past. And so he's really kicking our butts in the pool, and we're staying in the weight room a lot more strictly than we ever have been in the past. And we have a lot of people that can keep each other accountable. And the freshmen look really good. They look really comfortable in the water, and I definitely see a lot of potential with them.
One thing to add to that, a lot of returning experience. We talked about the All-Centennial Conference performers, All-Americans. Ty, what can you say about the kind of the experience this group has with a lot of talent on the way back?
Yeah, our talent is, I would say, young compared to years in the past. I know our freshman year when we swam with Ashton and Potter and Harmon and those guys, it was a very upper-level team. Now we only have 2 seniors. We started with 4 when we came in, but we're down to 2 now. But that younger class has been working really hard. They have a huge fire under their belt, and I think it's really going to show a lot this season as a younger team.
And Ty, I'm sure at some point the team has talked about goals for the season. What do you think are the team's goals going into the year?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think our goal, as anybody's goal, would be to win the Centennial Conference Championship. We're coming off last year getting 2nd, which obviously we're a little bit disappointed about. But I think being a little bit more of the underdog this year and not being on top like we had been in the past, 5 or 6 years or something like that, is going to make everybody work a little harder because we want to win, obviously. We want to be on that top position like we had been in the past.
Looking at the different areas across the board, Ian, freestyle, backstroke, the different strokes. What do you feel will be some of the areas of strength for the team this year, or just strengths in general for the Bullets?
I think the nature of this program has always kind of revolved around freestyle. We've always been an outstanding program in freestyle, both in the A and the B relays. I think that's going to continue this year. Like Ty said, we're a young team, and a lot of those young guys are the distance freestylers. That's kind of an event that we've kind of struggled with in the past, and I think we have all lengths of freestyle, pretty knocked down this year. And one of the biggest things that these freshmen are bringing this year is we're getting a lot more depth in the stroke events. We finally have an outstanding butterflyer again. The same kid is adding to our depth in the IM, and I think all of our stroke events now almost have as much depth and power as our freestyle events do, and I think that's going to be one of the biggest things this year pushing forward.
Looking back a little bit on last year's team, the freshman class really made a huge impact. Just to name a few, Adam Diaz, Ogden Lyons, Josh Parker, all at one point held school records at one point. So, Ty, what can you say about what that group brought to the table last year? It just really made a huge impact right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, it always helps to have those kids on the team. That being said, they're not the entire team. They do add a lot of points, and they're some of our main point scorers. But I think when younger guys, or maybe guys that aren't seeding as top high as them, see these guys in the top heats, it motivates them to swim faster because they want to be next to their teammates. They want to be out front with those guys winning races. And when the next year comes in, it just adds more motivation to those new kids coming in.
You touched on a little bit earlier kind of the teams that you had a couple of years ago, guys like Mike Harmon, Jason Potter, Ashton Lyons. Just some great swimmers came through the program, and each of you had a chance to compete with them. I guess you're the last class to have competed with them. But Ian, I guess I'll just ask you, how did those swimmers, those standout swimmers, maybe influence you and kind of help shape the swimmer that you've become?
Well, I think with those guys were really the epitome of talent and dedication. And I think the biggest thing that I've kind of got from them is that when you're in a Division III program where a lot of your benefits come from yourself and how much work you're willing to put in, seeing those guys being consistent in the weight room, constantly putting in an effort in the practices, not really leaving, getting up to go to the bathroom, seeing them do those little things has really influenced me in how I've decided to lead the team this year. And thinking about how as a freshman I could see them and it motivated me, I'm trying to be that same kind of person to these freshmen, trying to show them that it's important that when you keep yourselves accountable and you stay consistent in the weight room, that's how the team's going to succeed.
So it was more than just the performance in the pool. It was kind of showing leadership on and out of the pool as well. We talked about it. We're here in our home pool, the Bullets pool, opened in 2009. It's hosted, I believe, 4 Centennial Conference Championships, the Gettysburg Invitational every year. It's been a kind of grown as the reputation as being an incredibly fast pool. So, I'll direct this at you. How much of a luxury is it, do you think, to compete in a pool like this?
I mean, we're thankful for the pool that Gettysburg College has given to us every single day. I mean, we're in it day in and day out. Sometimes we're in it twice a day. I think it really can't be overstressed how much of an importance this pool is to our program. It allows us to do things in practice that not a lot of other programs can do. We can spread out further. We have so many more lanes. We can really cater our program and our practices to each individual. And not everyone has to be doing the same thing because we don't have this kind of space issue. People can kind of spread out and kind of go at whatever pace they need to go in the practices to not feel like someone's on their butt the whole time. And then in another aspect, it's really good for having these large meets. It's such a privilege and a luxury to have these fast meets at your own pool. It's really incredible to go to such a fast meet like conference championships and being able to wake up in your own bed rather than one in a hotel room. And those are the little differences you don't really think about. It's also a luxury as like a recruiting tool. A lot of people come and see this pool, and I think it really helps attract some of the better swimmers. People want to go to a pool that feels like you're at a nice university, and I think that it's really been a huge attracting force to, I know, myself and a lot of the kids that have been recruited in the past.
You talked about the advantage of competing in the Centennial Conference Championships at home. Of course, this year, the meet back at Franklin and Marshall for the second year in a row, but it will return to here to the Bullets Pool next season for another 2-year rotation. And speaking of the Centennial Conference Championships, Ty, you've really managed to perform extremely well at the conference meet during your career. We mentioned earlier you're the 2016 most outstanding performer. I don't know. I guess my question just would be how have you managed to? What do you feel are some of the keys to the way you've been able to perform as well as you have at the conference meet at the end of the season when it really matters the most?
Yeah. I've always had a big dedication to swimming, working hard not only in the pool but out of the pool. My races are a lot more, I'd say, mental. They're quick. If you do one thing wrong, you're kind of out of the race. So it's a lot of thinking before the races and making sure you have everything down. I learned that from my coaches through all the years I've been swimming. I think that's what really gave me the edge over some other people through the Centennial Conference Championship meets.
You feel that carries over then to the NCAA championships as well, which come a couple of weeks after the conference meet? I mean, is there any challenges there, I guess, after having, peaked for the conference meet and come back and compete at NCAAs? Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's always hard. It's always hard we call it tapering, is where you go down on your yards before your big meet and kind of rest up for conferences. And then you expend all your energy for that conference meet, and then the next day we're in the pool. Last year was Ogden and I. We were in the pool working and starting for nationals. It's hard to get back into that shape to then be ready for the national championship meet, but it's a great feeling because you have more of competition at nationals. I love having close races. That adrenaline and that rush is so much fun, and the more competition compared to like a large spectrum, obviously there's way more people at nationals than we do have in the conference. It's always great to feel.
Speaking of the conference meet, NCAAs, you've had just a lot of memorable moments throughout your first 3 years here at Gettysburg. Freshman year, swimming on the national runner-up 200 freestyle relay team. We mentioned the most outstanding performer award 2 years ago. You were, I believe, 7th in the nation in the 100 2 years ago. There may be others as well that stand out in your mind, but in your mind, what would you say are some of your top moments, the things that you're the most proud of so far?
Yeah, I would have to say that 200 freestyle relay at nationals my freshman year was definitely the biggest thing, biggest recognition and contribution that I was a part of. Being able to come out, calling your name, the team or the nationals calling your name, and being in the seated first going into the race, and then getting second, obviously, which was a little bit disappointing, but it was so exciting being able to be that person that had the chance to win a national championship in a race.
Well, we'll look to wrap this up now, but one question I kind of like to ask during these interviews, it's just in general, what would you say is your favorite part of competing for your team, competing for as a Gettysburg College men's swimmer? Whether it's in the pool, away from the pool. Ian, what do you say?
I think my favorite part of this is definitely the team dynamic. We got a great group of guys, and I think one of the most fun things for me is just kind of seeing everyone outside of the pool. We always go to Servo together. We get dinner after practice. We have a group chat. It's always good to just message in the group chat, see if anyone wants to go grab lunch or if anyone's in the library studying, especially during finals, getting a room in another building to study. And I think those are the little things that kind of stand out for me. Just these guys are more than just teammates. These are some of my best friends, and I think that's probably the most fun thing that I have with this program.
I think our coach is a huge aspect of the team. He's always has our back. He'll say that about anybody on the team. More than anybody I know, more than any other coach I've ever had. he's always looking out for us, not even just in practice or in meets or anything, but out of the pool. If you have something to talk about with a class or a test that you might have struggled with or something like that, he'll be always the one that is there and willing to talk to you about everything. I think that's a really good thing about the team.
Yeah, certainly Coach Rowley, going into his 33rd year now at Gettysburg, one of the all-time winningest coaches here, certainly one of the most respected coaches in this area, maybe all of Division III with what he's done with the program here, and so very point well taken. And well, I think we're about out of time here. We want to thank our guest again, Ian Schrock, Ty Dougherty, our men's swimming team captains. Thank you for joining us as you are one day away from opening your season. Again, the Bullets host Washington College in a men's and women's Centennial Conference meet starting here in the Bullets pool, starting at 1 o'clock. It's one of 4 meets for the Bullets in the first semester. Again, the Centennial Conference Championships this year will be on the road at Franklin and Marshall, February 22nd through the 25th. So we thank you once again for following along on Facebook Live. We hope you can join us in the coming weeks as we preview our remaining winter teams, men's and women's basketball, among others. So for Braden Snyder, Ty Dougherty, Ian Schrock, have a great afternoon.